you, and welcome to Faith, Family, and Freedom. This is Andrew Phipps, and I thank you for joining us today. For the next 30 minutes approximately, we will do some programming here that hopefully will challenge, maybe it'll be inspirational, perhaps educational, and I hope that in the entirety of the program that you will appreciate being able to view it. Thank you for joining us. If you'd like to remind a neighbor or friend, that would be wonderful as well. Today we have some different things that we're going to be featuring. One, as we get close to the date that we celebrate the Normandy landing, as we get close to that, June the 6th, 1944, one of the greatest amphibious landings in all of military history, combining aircraft, the armies, the navies. Aircraft, they say, was from wingtip to wingtip. Across the English Channel there, as you come into the coastline of Normandy, France. Men went ashore, paratroopers landed, they faced stiff resistance there, particularly at Utah Beach, also at Omaha Landing. I was privileged, Miss Shirlene and I were, to go there several years ago, and it was a very moving experience to know and see where these boys from all parts of our nation, many of them the Rangers, as they climbed the hills there of the seashore. It looked impossible. As a matter of fact, they were met with stiff resistance by the Germans. And the aircraft paratroopers even had clickers that they would click so that their friends would know where they were in the night landings. And the hedgerows there were just the armories, so to speak, the built-in machine gun nest and so on. President Reagan called them the boys of Point du Hoc. These boys, many of them never got ashore. They were mowed down as the boats, landing craft landed the end there where the boys could wade ashore, and they were met with resistance unimaginable. Well, at Normandy is where President Eisenhower carried the papers in his pocket that said that if the war was not successful, or if this battle, rather, was not successful, he took credit, or he took blame for the decision making. He went among the troops the night before and thanked them for their courage. And I know a good friend of mine, Claude Smith, from down in Jamestown, Tennessee, and then later brought his family to Muncie. He was one of those, saw President Eisenhower. And so this coming year, we will be celebrating, I guess it's about 78 years of that invasion. Today we have a clip that I think that you might appreciate. It's the decision that changed the world. Let's view it now.
4:15 a.m., June 5th, 1944. Supreme Allied Commander Dwight D. Eisenhower faces a monumental decision: whether or not to launch the D-Day invasion of France, the largest and most complex military invasion in human history. The invasion had been delayed for 24 hours because of an unpredictable summer storm. The mood is tense. Everyone waits for the meteorologist's report. He states that there is a small window of opportunity. The weather will remain poor, but we could risk the invasion. Eisenhower peppers his commanders with questions, going over every last detail. His naval commander worries about the condition of the seas and the high winds. Rough seas could sink the landing craft and drown the soldiers and sailors manning them. The invasion could become a disaster. His air chief fears that bad visibility from low cloud cover would lead his paratroopers to be dropped over too vast an area and then be annihilated by the Nazi forces. But Eisenhower knows that if he delays, secrecy will be difficult, if not impossible, to maintain. And if the Nazis learn where the invasion forces are landing, there will be almost no chance of success. 150,000 troops, American, British, and Canadian, are massed along the English coast, awaiting Eisenhower's orders. There is complete silence in the room for several minutes as he contemplates the decision, knowing that thousands, or perhaps tens of thousands of Allied soldiers will likely have to die to overcome the enemy defenses. But it has to be done. The fate of freedom in the world hangs in the balance. Okay, we'll go, he says. They can't afford to wait. Now there is no turning back. That evening, Eisenhower makes a surprise visit to the paratroopers of the U.S. 101st Airborne Division shortly before they board their planes. He walks from group to group, wishing them good luck and asking them where they're from, searching for someone from his hometown of Abilene, Kansas. He never finds one that night. Before the invasion, Eisenhower had written a short message, the order of the day for the invasion troops. A copy of the message was provided to each soldier to take with him.
Soldiers, sailors, and airmen of the Allied Expeditionary Force, you are about to embark upon the great crusade toward which we have striven these many months. The eyes of the world are upon you. The hopes and prayers of liberty-loving people everywhere march with you. In company with our brave allies and brothers in arms on other fronts, you will bring about the destruction of the German war machine, the elimination of Nazi tyranny over the oppressed peoples of Europe, and security for ourselves in a free world. Your task will not be an easy one. Your enemy is well-trained, well-equipped, and battle-hardened. He will fight savagely. The tide has turned. The free men of the world are marching together to victory. I have full confidence in your courage, devotion to duty, and skill in battle. We will accept nothing less than full victory. Good luck, and let us all beseech the blessing of Almighty God upon this great and noble undertaking.
Eisenhower nervously receives reports. Airborne casualties are far fewer than had been feared. British forces invading Sword and Gold Beaches, Canadian forces at Juno Beach, and American forces at Utah Beach all capture their beaches. Worrisome news arrives from Omaha Beach. After 6 hours of fighting, the American forces there cling to only a few yards of the beach, tied down by a barrage of artillery, mortar, and machine gun fire. Eventually, incredible acts of heroism by American soldiers and sailors overcome the Nazi defenses. Despite the loss of thousands of Allied troops, the invasion is an astonishing success. The Allies have won the Battle of D-Day and can now move men and equipment onto the continent. From the Normandy beaches, the Allies would fight their way across Europe, eventually crushing the Nazi armies and meeting up with Soviet forces advancing from the east less than a year later. The most destructive war in the history of mankind was mercifully brought to an end through the courage and selflessness of the forces, East and West, determined to end the Nazi German regime.
There've been times that I've been backed up to the wall. There've been times it seemed I would surely fall, when it seemed that there was no escape at all. He made a way for me.
He made a way.
Just like old Daniel in the hungry lion's den.
My God
delivered me just like he did him.
He made a way.
Just like old Moses standing there beside the sea.
Made a way.
He made a way for me. Now I know there are times when the road will get rough, and all of us feel like at times giving up. But remember, my friend, he knows when we've had enough, and he'll make a way for me.
He made a way.
Just like old Daniel in the hungry lion's den.
My God
delivered me just like he did him.
He made a way.
Just like old Moses standing there beside the sea.
Made a way.
He made a way for me. Well, he made a way.
Just like old Daniel in the hungry lion's den.
He made a
My
way.
God delivered me just like he did him.
He made a
Just
way.
like old Moses standing
There beside the sea. He made a way. He made a way for me. He made a way.
Just like old Daniel in the hungry lion's den. My God delivered me just like he did him.
He made a
Just
way.
like old Moses standing
There beside the sea. He made a way. He made a way. Made a way. He made a way. Made a way. He made a way for me. He made a way.
like old Daniel in the hungry lion's den.
He made a
My
way.
God delivered me just like he did him.
He made a
Just
way.
like old Moses standing there.
There beside the sea. He made a way. He made a way for me. He made a
Just
way.
like old Daniel in the hungry lion's den.
He made a
My
way.
God delivered me just like he did him.
He made a way.
Just like old Moses standing there.
There beside the sea. He made a way. He made a way. Made a way. Made a way. Made a way. He made a way for me.
It's time to plan for the 47th Annual Southern Gospel Singing at Sea Cruise. Join Andrew and Shirlene Phipps as you depart from Port Canaveral for the trip, January 30th through February 3rd, 2023, for warm sunshine and tropical breezes in the Caribbean. With 30 of the top Southern Gospel groups in the nation, you will be entertained and you'll be inspired by the best in Southern Gospel preaching. Dine on delicious foods, see the sights, and bask in the warm glow of Christian fellowship on the world's largest all-Christian cruise to the Bahamas. Hurry, because this trip of a lifetime sells out fast. All that is needed now is a small deposit, and you can continue to pay over time. For more information, call Andrew Phipps at 765-744-4239.
If you'd like to have any of our products, we do have a Faith, Fame, and Freedom handbook. We have some DVDs. We did one with Pastor Jim Scudder in Washington, D.C. a little over a year ago. It's called Can You Find God in D.C.? I think you will enjoy the beautiful programming that was done in the Jefferson and Lincoln Memorials and other places. If you want any of our products, just call us or get in touch with us, as would be indicated there on the screen.
The weather is heating up, and so are the deals. It's time for spring specials at Sam Pierce Chevrolet in Daleville. Lease a new Chevy Equinox LS for only $159 a month, or lease a new Chevy Blazer for just $269 per month. Save thousands on nearly 200 pre-owned vehicles in stock, all with the warranty and complimentary maintenance. Hurry, once these vehicles are gone, so are the special prices. Don't miss out on the spring specials, only at Sam Pierce Chevrolet. The best Chevy deals are in the country.
the pastor of Faith Baptist Church in Layton, Utah, and my name is Chuck Bickle. And it's my honor to introduce to you my dear friend, Andrew Phipps, and his ministry, Faith, Family, and Freedom. Andrew Phipps is a living encyclopedia of the real history of the United States of America. Brother Phipps is a true patriot. He taught U.S. government for many years, and he fully understands the times and the current tipping point of our nation. He knows our government, how it was formed, how it was designed to operate, and Andrew Phipps knows the price that our forefathers paid to establish the United States of America. I am so pleased to be able to promote and present to you Mr. Andrew Phipps. His television, radio, and media presentations will encourage you, educate you, inspire you to stand for this great nation before it's too late. I've had the privilege of traveling to the United States Capitol with Brother Phipps, and I have personally witnessed his ability to discuss our nation and its amazing biblical heritage, its current conditions, and the potential biblical solutions with the powerful elected officials of our land. Brother Phipps is as comfortable with a U.S. Senator as he is with a bank clerk or a co-worker. God has gifted Andrew Phipps to make a difference, and God has given him to you and to this nation to share his wealth of knowledge and patriotic inspiration. We need men like Andrew Phipps influencing and educating this nation now more than ever before. Now I invite you to join Brother Andrew Phipps on today's quest to save America as he inspires this nation in the areas of faith, family, and freedom.
Well, friends, we certainly have appreciated being able to share with you some good information, and hopefully you have appreciated the materials already shown. We always want to pay tribute to the men, the women that have stood in harm's way for the defense of our great nation. Tom Brokaw called the World War II people the greatest generation. I don't think there are many that argue with that. These brave men, as I said, that went ashore there at Normandy, they had come through the Great Depression. They had seen, they knew what scarcity was all about. Many of these knew that during the Great Depression, when so many people were out of work, over 25% of the people that even applied for work were out of jobs. And so we don't know altogether just how high the figure was, but when you think about 1 out of 4 being unemployed, when people basically, the banks had failed, when you think about that there was no securities guarantees, you had an over-speculation of the stock market, and the depression that almost became worldwide was a hard task for many of our parents and relatives. I mean, it was starvation was almost at the door, and people had to do what they could, gardens, and they had to share, and people had to hunt for game to eat, and it was critical in many of the cities, bread lines and soup lines. People that had once been in great positions were reduced maybe to selling apples on the street corners. And so it was a humiliating process, as well as one that physically was challenged, just getting enough food to survive. Of course, the weather in many areas didn't cooperate. You had the Dust Bowl out in the Kansas and Nebraska areas, and you had flooding later. 1937 was a great time of floods in many places, the Ohio River Basin and other areas. Well, these men in World War II that had been born 1920, 1922, in that era, they went to war. They'd already experienced hard times, but they had a desire to defend this country at all costs. And of course, the women, they went to work. They called them Rosie the Riveter. The ladies went into the factories and they made shell casings. They helped build airplanes. President Roosevelt ordered 50,000 airplanes at one time. We went through shortages of where stuff was rationed. You had to have a ration book to get just many items, whether it was sugar or to get a tire for your car or many things that was being pushed and kept for the war effort. So it was a tough time, but people also were strengthened by their faith in God. And sometimes in these situations, we find that our faith does get challenged, and oftentimes we are the better for it. And we're not certainly wishing for bad times, but we know that God is able to do exceeding abundantly above all that we ask or think. We're going to enjoy something now that I've always liked. Brother Martin Cook, my good friend with the Inspirations, died February the 23rd of this year. He wrote this song. I don't think the fellows sang it very much, but I like it, and this was sung at our church, Liberty Baptist Church in Muncie. The song says, "I Just Heard from Heaven." Your church people would help us advertise our program. For that, we would be grateful. And we're seeing more and more people when we go places to speak that tell us they enjoy the program. I'm out of Liberty Baptist Church. I speak in fundamental churches across the country. We have a website. If you'd ever like for us to come to your church, well, give us a call and we'll see how that might be arranged. We again thank you for your support. Many of you do support us on a monthly basis. And again, that's helpful. We don't want to be a burden to people, but we'd like to be a blessing. But in so doing, our advocacy for the faith of our fathers, for the preservation of our families that's under attack today and keeping our freedoms. I hope that you have a wonderful day. Be sure and join us at the next opportunity. But until then, this is Andrew Phipps wishing you a great day.
Phipps Faith, Family, and Freedom, presented by Clemens Home Solutions and Heritage Funeral Care.